what's occupying international attention for the second time in 2 days? Donald Trump has spoken on mediating on the Kashmir issue. Last time he had snubbed Pakistan, saying he would help if both sides consent. Now this time, the US president, in his unique style, has said that India and Pakistan will work it out. It was in Trump's first ever press conference after an impeachment inquiry was launched against him. Responding to a question on his bilaterals with India and Pakistan, the US president said that be it arbitration or mediation, he is ready to offer any help that he can. Let's listen into what the US president had to say.
With respect to Pakistan and India, we talked about Kashmir and whatever help I can be. I said I offered, whether it's arbitration or mediation or whatever it has to be, I'll do whatever I can because they're at very serious odds right now, and hopefully that'll get better. You look at the two gentlemen heading those two countries, two good friends of mine. I said, fellas, work it out. Just work it out. Those are two nuclear countries. They've got to work it out.
Now remember, this statement comes just 48 hours after Trump made a similar offer during his bilateral with Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. Speaking on the issue, Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that India has made its position on Kashmir very clear and that it was discussed in the bilateral with Trump, but there was no mention of mediation.
You see, I think our position is very clear. Even if you look at what he said yesterday, I think he said that India and Pakistan should both agree for any kind of mediation or arbitration. Our position is very clear. I think it has been articulated by the Prime Minister earlier. It was articulated yesterday by the Foreign Secretary. So that position remains. Context of the discussion yesterday, what happened between Prime Minister and President Trump. The discussion regarding J&K, as we mentioned yesterday, was in the context of counterterrorism.
And so both the leaders of India and Pakistan are on a week-long visit to the United States. The last 5 days for Prime Minister Modi have been filled with action, from the mega Howdy Modi event to multiple bilateral and multilateral engagements to meeting with the top business leaders in America. The agenda for India at the UNGA remains diverse. But the Pakistani Prime Minister seems to have a one-point agenda, and that's clearly Kashmir. Be it his UNGA address or his bilateral with Trump, the focus remains on Khan's attempt to internationalize the issue of Kashmir. WION World is One has been reporting non-stop from the UN headquarters, with reports reflecting both sides on ground zero. Let's have a quick look at yet another exclusive report sent by our colleague Palki Sharma Upadhyay, Siddhant Sibal and Anas Malik from Pakistan.
What pretty much several issues when it comes to another day at the United Nations General Assembly, and more of the same, you could say, with the two prime ministers from India and Pakistan having different engagements. And as we've been saying, WION is the only network which has two dedicated correspondents tracking the two different governments and the engagements of their leaders. With me, Siddhant Sibal, our diplomatic correspondent in New Delhi, and Anas Malik, WION's Islamabad bureau chief. Let's start with you, Siddhant. The Prime Minister of India had a lot of engagements today. He spoke about business. He spoke about other interests. How did the day go?
Well, the top focus today was on business. He started the day with a business event. He met with the CEOs of top US companies. At the business event, his focus was clearly that come to India. It's a golden opportunity. Invest in India. India can be a great partner. He gave the entire reform agenda of the Indian government. And he also talked about something very crucial. He talked about energy. He said that when it comes to environment, we need to use clean energy, and nuclear energy will be a clean source of energy. So if that can happen, if India can be a part of it, it will really help India's clean energy programs.
Right, and the business that the Pakistani leadership kept itself busy with was Kashmir.
Absolutely. It was all Kashmir focused. The Pakistani Prime Minister today had engagements with the Norwegian Prime Minister. He's also met the Malaysian Prime Minister and the President of Turkey. There was a trilateral that was scheduled between Pakistan, Turkey and Malaysia, but that was also more focused on the Kashmir crisis. That's what the Pakistani Prime Minister has been trying to do, rake up the issue of Kashmir, while clearly losing focus of the track of economy, the condition of economy his country has currently been in. He He's met the CEOs previously while he was here 2 months ago, but this time again he's brought the finance minister, finance advisor Abdul Hafiz Sheikh. But by and large, there hasn't been much traction when it comes to the investment side as well, nor it comes to the Kashmir his theatrics on Kashmir. Because yesterday at the press conference, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan clearly said that he was disappointed with whatever he was trying to do on Kashmir. Nothing seems to work out on his part. Yes, Quality.
Right, and you said that the economy remains a big worry for Pakistanis. Yesterday there was also an earthquake in Pakistan. You've been also talking to members of the press. Do they not feel that this is a classic case of misplaced priorities, that for a week the Pakistani Prime Minister is camping at the biggest diplomatic event in the world, and this could have been an opportunity he could have used to further the diplomatic and the development agenda if he has any of his government, but he chose to waste it on pushing just one agenda item where he's also not making a lot of progress.
Well, absolutely. The Pakistani journalists here feel that he should have been back home. This is the first time that any prime minister, or for that matter, any head of state from Pakistan has been on a week-long trip. They've never been there for such a longer time period. So this is the first time in history since 1947 that a Pakistani head of state is here at the UN or abroad for a week's time. Since there was an earthquake just yesterday as well, a lot of journalists feel, in fact, within the diplomatic circles, they felt that there was a need for Imran Khan to be back home. Yesterday at the press conference, Imran Khan said that despite of the ongoing economic crisis, it was because of the Kashmir, quote-unquote, Kashmir cause or Mission Kashmir that he chose to be here. But something that is to be noted over here is the fact that it is more to do with his survival back home. There's a lot of criticism on him that back during the time of Nawaz Sharif or the People's Party government, because it was a robust democracy, it was strengthened democracy. They were by the will of the people, they were elected by the will of the people, contrary to how it is currently in Imran Khan's government, how he has been labelled. So therefore, it is a matter of his survival because it is in the curriculum, and if he does not do all of these theatrics, then he cannot face the people back home. So that is why he chose to be here, a sloppy move that the opposition is also trying to play on, but by and large the Imran Khan government has failed to attract people. Even countries, only 2 countries have spoken in favor to the Pakistani point of view, and those 2 countries, they held those 3 countries, including Pakistan, they held a trilateral today. So clearly, Imran, as he said, he was disappointed, and there doesn't seem to be an end to this theatrics. Next month there is an OIC meeting. Today there was an OIC contact group meeting as well. Next month there is an OIC meeting as well. But when you ask the Pakistani dispensation that what is the way forward, you came to the UN, there is an OIC meeting next month, what next? And they're absolutely blank on that.
Right, and talking about the week-long visit, I think that's also rare for the Indian Prime Minister to spend so much time. And he's had the Foreign Minister, the late Sushma Swaraj, attend the previous United Nations General Assembly meetings. But this time, Narendra Modi is, you could say, ticking all the boxes. From trade, where India is yet to make much progress with the United States, to the Gandhi Park, to climate change, to diplomacy, to bilateral meetings. They are really ticking all the boxes.
Well, when it comes to Indian Prime Minister's visit foreign, he tries to make sure that there is maximum output. And when the Indian Prime Minister is in America for a week-long visit, expect a lot of news and a lot of outcomes, whether it's Houston, whether it's New York, from business to politics to, of course, diplomacy. There are 3 pillars, basically. One, of course, the multilateral focus. The Indian Prime Minister at the United Nations General Assembly, he will be speaking here on Friday. Then, of course, the bilateral component. He met with his counterpart not once, twice. First sharing the stage in Houston, then of course in New York, focus on making sure how both the countries can converge. We saw the endorsement by both the leaders, and finally the bilateral component when it comes to various other countries. He's going to meet the Iranian president on Thursday. That will be another big meeting because, remember, Iran forms a crucial part of India's foreign policy, especially the Chabahar port. So, a lot of news, a lot of output, and, of course, the focus from the Indian Prime Minister is to showcase India is a world leader and India is a solution finder.
Right, and this place is buzzing with energy, I can say, and the image is unlike any other. People are walking their dogs. There is immense security here. There are cars parked here. You see big diplomats and leaders walking past. There are protesters who are singing some version of the old song, "We Shall Overcome." I think that's a good note to end on. India and Pakistan remain in focus for journalists who are tracking developments here, but there's a lot more business being conducted at the United Nations.